Well, hello everyone again. It's Kathy and Rosie Vespa Rider. I have lots to tell you today, but first, quickly, where are we going? Well, Fee has met me at home and we're heading out to Ourimbah. There's a university campus out at Ourimbah with quite a big car park, and I've got some chalk and I've got tape measure. I've got some what we call witches' hats or cones, and I've got the specifications for the P-plate course called the Motorcycle Operator Skills Test, and we are going to set up the course as best we can out in the car park at the university to practice the elements. Generally, the car park is quite empty on a weekend, and so it is the perfect spot to go and have some practice. What is the most exciting news, though, is that this week, on Monday, I passed my P's test. So I was on my learners and I passed my P's on Monday. By the time this video is released, it will be over a week since I passed my P's. But it has been a bit of a long journey to get to this point, and so I thought I might just explain how that happened. In late 2023, I decided to buy Rosie. I didn't have a learner's permit. I hadn't been on a motorbike in any form for a very long time. When I had been on a motorbike, it was occasionally on the back of my brother's motorbike. I have 4 brothers, and all of them owned motorbikes at one point or another throughout our life. So I had been on the back of a motorbike. My only other experience was on a little Honda 50 when I was about 11 or 12 that we had in the backyard. It may have been a postie bike. I don't know. We just called it the Honda Step Through, and I twisted the throttle a little too hard and crashed it into the fence, which Mum was not happy about. So my track record, obviously, with motorbikes has not been very good. So late 2023, I brought Rosie. I had been to a few different shops in Sydney to look at the different options for a Vespa. My criteria was it had to be a Vespa and it had to be red. So that was pretty broad, I thought, but it was difficult to get what I wanted, and so I bought this one. So Rosie is a 2023 150 GTS Super. I didn't have a license, as I said, and so I had to get it freighted from Sydney up to the Central Coast where I live. So that was December 2023. Then January 2024, I went and did the learner's course. So the learner's course in Australia, in New South Wales, is 2 half days. After those 2 half days, you're given a learner's license, and you're able to you also have to pass a skills knowledge test on a computer at Service New South Wales. So I did all of those things, got my learners, and then for a bit of January and early February, I started to do some very cautious riding on Rosie. Then in February, I went to Canada skiing, had a pretty significant crash during my skiing, had a tibia plateau fracture, and that was me out for quite a long time. So I didn't ride Rosie for the rest of 2024. It got to about December of 2024 and I thought, okay, I'm ready to potentially get going again on Rosie. But I'd lost all of my confidence, and so I decided to go back and do my L's again in the January of 2025, so that I had more up-to-date skills and I felt a bit more confident. I was really glad that I went back and did it again, because it gave me the boost of confidence that I really needed. So then I did that L course with my granddaughter, and we then did some riding together, and in May we decided to book in to do the P course and the most. I did not think that I would pass the most test. I was really just doing it so that I was there with Mia for her to do hers. And we got through the course part all right. I think I spoke about it in a previous video. We did get lost on the practical ride, which was completely my fault. But my intention was never really to sit the most part of the course, which is at the end, which is all of the technical aspects of the riding that you get tested on. Mia passed with flying colours. She was amazing, but I did not. And I was okay with that. A little bit sad about it, but generally okay, because I really just looked at it as an opportunity to see what the course looked and felt like for when I was ready to do it again. So that was May of this year, and since May, so that's May, June, July, August, the last 3 months, I have been doing lots of either private lessons or group lessons down in Sydney to build up my skills and my confidence. Unfortunately, on the coast, they don't provide that because they don't have enough trainers, any of the private classes, so I had to go down to Sydney. I couldn't ride Rosie down to Sydney because it was too far, and I can't ride on the freeway with her just because I don't feel like she's got enough power. She's only a 150 and it would be too dangerous from my perspective. So I did a course with Heart, which is the Honda driving and riding school, and I did some courses with Stay Upright with the amazing Paul. Then I decided to book in to do the provisional course and the most, but I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my family or friends that I was doing it, because I didn't want the pressure of their expectations on me as well as my own. So I went down on Monday. I was really nervous. I spoke to Paul about how nervous I was. I spoke to him about how nervous I was about the practical ride that we do on the streets of Sydney, because I'm very spatially challenged. But he was very supportive through the whole process. And then when I went to do the most part, which is the skills part at the end, I was so nervous, unbelievably nervous, more nervous than I think I've ever been in my life. Everybody else in the group was really nervous as well, and they were just such a lovely group of people that were also doing their P's with me, so I felt okay. The first person that went hadn't been riding a manual bike since he got his L's. He'd been riding a scooter, but he was doing the most test on a manual bike, and he was amazing. He got through and passed. We all did a big cheer. The second person that went through was somebody whose learners was expiring in 2 days, so she had to pass, and luckily she did. And then I felt an enormous amount of pressure because it was my turn and they had both passed, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't be the first one out of the group to not pass. So went through all of the elements and was so excited when Paul, the instructor, said I'd passed. I even let out a very loud cheer, I think. I did lose 3 points because on the cone weave, I think I knocked over a cone, but you can lose up to 8 points or accumulate up to 8 points before you get cut off and disqualified from passing, but I only lost the 3 for the cone weave, so I was very happy with that. So that is my big news for this week. No longer a learner rider, now a P plater. I need to keep my Ps on. I've got there a red P with the 90 kilometre an hour maximum speed limit on the P plate, and then I keep that for 12 months, and because I'm over 25, I then go straight on, and I have it, sorry, because I'm over 25 and I have a black license for my driving license, I go straight to my black or full license for my bike at the end of that 12 months, which is fabulous. So it was a great experience. I have to say, I think it was harder for me as an older person, I think, to go through this process. There was a lot of self-doubt about, am I too old to be doing this? Am I just kidding myself that I can ride at 58, or I'm 59 later this year? Is that too old? Am I not quick enough in my reactions and my ability to process to be safe on the road? All of those little self-doubt questions kept popping into my mind, because there were elements of the MOSE test that I really struggled with. The cone weave was hard for me, and the turning in the box, which is simulating a U-turn, was also hard for me. I had an epiphany though with the cone weave, because I likened it to skiing down a ski slope, and so when I thought about it that way and relaxed the top half of my body and just kind of flowed through the cones, it was so much easier and didn't have a problem with it after that. The U-turn in the box I struggled with every time I did. I either put my foot down or I went outside the lines, but ironically, when I was being tested for the most, I did it perfectly without any issue whatsoever. So I guess that just goes to show you never know how you're going to show up and perform on the day. So it was a great experience. So we're going out to the uni today to practice for the most, because Fee and I had planned to do this a long time ago, not realising that I would actually end up getting my Ps before we even had the chance to do this. But Fee is still on her learners, and another person has come along as well to join us to have a bit of a practice as well. So we'll spend about an hour and a half just practicing. I've got the cones, as I said, the chalk, the instructions of how to set up the course, and we'll just draw it out with the chalk and practice, or they will practice. I never want to practice it again. I will practice elements of it because that's good for safety on an ongoing basis. You will notice, first there's some kids that just drove past. Some of them were on bicycles and some were on electric bikes. Electric bikes are a bit of a sore topic here on the coast at the moment, because there's so many around, and there are so many that are going over 25 kilometres an hour, which is illegal, but kids are doing it, unfortunately. The other thing I just wanted to mention is, you'll notice on my dash or steering column, whatever you call it, I have the new DJI Osmo 360 camera. And I have filmed this ride and the subsequent rides when we went from here onwards to the next location for lunch, which will be in another video. I'm still working out how to process those videos. I thought that I could potentially add some front facing or facing towards me clips into this video, but I haven't quite worked out how to do that in Premiere Pro, which is what I edit in. So that might be a standalone video that I just share what that looks like. So that was a lot of talking for nearly 14 minutes. Sorry about that. We're at the uni now and heading into the car park where we will set up. It's a beautiful location out here. I actually studied my psychology degree partly here and partly at another campus of this university. So I spent a lot of time here many years ago now when I did my degree. I'm just trying to find now which row in the parking lot is the best. The road to the left of where I am had a lot of debris on the road, so I didn't think that that was going to be very safe for Fee and Alex to practice in. And so it was either this row that I'm riding down now or the next one. And I think we settled on this next one, which is the one I've used previously as well. This person in the van must have got a little bit confused because they parked and then they started to reverse out, and I bipped my horn a couple of times, and then they realised that I was there, but nearly collected me in the car park. So thanks for watching. I will share another video after this with the next part of the ride soon.